This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, good morning all. Thanks for joining. My name is Sanjit Kumar Krishnan. I am the Salesforce uh, consultant and trainer, uh, delivering trainings for corporates and uh, end users. Uh, and I also handling the online trainings as well, virtual trainings and classroom trainings. And I also do consulting for uh, different organizations for Salesforce projects, implementations, support, entry process. These are my activities. So I just wanted to have a session on interview preparation. So I believe this uh, most of the students who are new to Salesforce or who would like to transition from one technology to different technology to Salesforce. So uh, they do have a blank idea about what sort of questions they could expect in the interview, right? So as a fresher, I believe some of you may be fresher. So you'll have many questions in mind. So what type of questions you'll face in interviews, right? Whether it's you're looking for a role of administrator or developer, then what set of questions are? Am I audible to all of you? Anyone can respond?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So each one of you has different questions in mind and objectives in mind. Right. So when you see this, the session uh, is not going to cover completely scenario based. Is to cover objectives of all participants in common. I'm going to start with the basics, how the interview process will happen, how the what type of questions in general you can expect in the interview. Even if you're looking for if you're applying for a developer role, right? By default, every developer is an administrator. That's a rule in Salesforce profile, right? Job profile. When you're going for a developer role, you should be a good administrator, Salesforce administrator. So which means the questions, that the frequently asked questions for developer interviews will always start from administrative question, functional questions, right? Questions among the functional part of the platform, right? They would start from uh, profile, users, roles, right? And more deep into technical security model topic, OWDs, sharing rules. Then definitely they will touch upon process automations, uh, right? Process automations like workflows, process builder, visual flows, and we have validation rules, custom formulas, and report dashboards. So, right, so we can say like some 20 to 30% you can expect the questions from functional part. Then you'll have basics questions on development. Then you'll have a scenario based questions, isn't it? So administrative knowledge is mandatory to work in Salesforce platform. Any type of role you are going to play, and so I categorize the questions, right? Other than technical questions, the non-technical questions also play a major role, right? So non-technical questions can say common questions. They will start from tell about yourself. which play a major role in the interview. How do you describe yourself? How do you describe yourself? Uh, you know, naturally. Shouldn't be more artificial, right? Like uh, you just it can be more simple, right? More simply you can present about yourself. Need not be very uh, uh, you know uh, very poetic way. Need not be present. You can just present more simple way, right? Like you can start from your name uh, and your education and like that. We are going to discuss briefly about all those things. What are the common questions you can expect, irrespective of the position you are applying for? Every if you are looking for administrative position, developer or architect or whatever, there will be some common questions that play very major role, right? And you'll see the interviews will always start from uh, the interviewer would like to know what is this, right? What type of questions, like what is Salesforce, right? What is cloud computing? So that what type of questions play a major role to start, to create confident uh, yourself, uh, you know, which will create uh, a bond between yourself and interviewer. So how do you explain? How do you give your answers for what type of questions, right? Unless you don't know what is this, then moving to the next step, is a question mark. So what type of questions also play a major role, and why we are using, right? Why we are using certain features. So why type of questions? So like why we are using shell flows, why we are using process builder when you have workflows, right? Why do you go for roles when you have profile? So uh, any type of features you are exploring in the platform, you should have always have a questions in mind. What is this? Why we are using this? Right? If you are able to answer these two type of uh, get answer for these two type of questions, it means you are ready to ready to go for implementing that particular uh, entity or feature. So right, every it's a kind of a questions you should have anything you are learning, right? So what is this? Why you are using this? And how to implement, isn't it? So we'll have some sort of questions, why type of questions and what type of questions in the next slide. And we'll also have a questions like differences, right? What is the difference between roles and profile? What is the difference between workflows and uh, process builder? So so right, these also play a major role. What is difference between SOQL and SOSL? Isn't it? So you should agree, right? So if you have faced already some interviews in real time, you can categorize questions like this. So explain the differences, play a major role, right? So what is the difference between Salesforce and other CRM application in the market? So you should have, when you prepare, then you should have prepared these type of questions categorized before you get into scenario-based questions or more technical, right? So because this make a base, right? Uh, how the candidate is, right? Which the interviewer will able to interpret the candidate knowledge and communication with help of these questions in the beginning, right? So when you give when you are able to respond to these questions confidently, then you will see like surprise. You'll surprise to see the progress further, to the next uh, uh, set of questions would be uh, more will create more positive response from the interviewer. Okay, so and we'll have a syntax type of questions, right? So nowadays every interview is happening, um, writing the syntax. Okay, so unless you are not sure about the syntax, right, you cannot be a good developer, uh, to uh, to implement any solution. When implementing any solution, right, you should be good enough writing the syntax. So development is all about the syntax framework. right? There is nothing there to talk about the functional thing or business. It's everything syntax, right? Development. So that's why I mentioned earlier. You should be a very good administrator to become a good developer. Okay, so when you go for development, syntax play a major role, right? How to write a syntax of a trigger, right? Suppose they ask for writing a trigger, simple trigger.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So syntax type of questions, right? You should be when you're asking you to write a simple syntax, write a trigger something, right? Then unless you're not sure about the syntax of the trigger, whether trigger keyword come first or object name come first when you're writing the trigger, right? That will create an embracing situation for you, right? Because you always have the habit of referring some uh, help dots, Salesforce help URL help page and do you or you copy the existing trigger and write your trigger. So this kind of you know a regular activity every developer, most of the administrator do. Right, to go with the existing trigger or apex class and they take a copy and modify it, right? So but when you go for interview, right, that cannot be done. You have to start from your scratch, right? 90% of the interviews are happening, they you have to write something, you have to present your answers in the form of uh, writing. You have to need to write everything, right? So even in other case, no, you will be assigned with some uh, proof of concepts, some a simple project where where you will see uh, every most of the important topics will be covered in that particular project. So you need to implement in a day or 2 days, not SLE time period. So in that case, right, you should when you should be very good enough in syntax. Okay, and we'll go for scenario based questions, right? So before there won't be any very less interviews, no, they will go directly go for scenario, right? They will just start from common questions, what type of, why, explain the differences, then syntax, then few technical things, then scenario based, and then you'll always have questions on challenging part, right? What are the challenging complex requirement you handle? So this type of, we can categorize the questions like these 7 categories in general when you prepare yourself. Okay, so I have listed here some common questions. Tell about yourself, right? So as I mentioned, tell about yourself can be more simple to my point of view, right? In my career, I have attended in the beginning when I looking for a job. I made my tell about yourself more simpler, right? When you ask someone tell about themselves, right? They add more poetic way, like I did this one and I became first in this one. My hobby is like that. Need not be. You can make a tell about yourself quite simple, right? You start from your name and place where you're from, and and it is not mandatory. You need to explain about uh, every family members, right? It's not required you to detail go into the family. Just have a word about the uh, I am from this place, and then you can move on to education and then your career or any trainings you handle or anything your specific any achievements in academic you can also mention, and then you can close your tell about yourself, right? And these very common questions, right? They always every interview start about your project, right? Of course, if you are a fresher, looking for you are applying for interviews, Salesforce interview or any interview, you can talk about your training project, right? You can talk about your training project in detail. So when you talk about in training project, you should have uh, you know something in mind that can be presented to the interviewer in a well defined format, right? Suppose I worked on some training project called insurance, right? So then you can say like I have right developed an insurance application, a lightning application or classic, and I have the objective of the application is to manage the insurance activities. So basically, this project is and is meant for health insurance, and I have created so 5 different objects with implement with a different relationship like master detail and many to many, and I also implemented validation rules to validate the input of insurance data, and I also implemented a process builder process, uh, right? So and I've written some few 5 classes and some Salesforce pages, and I also implemented the similar uh, a few functionalities in Lightning. So in such way, you can explain the training project in a way the new person, the interviewer is a kind of is a new a person sitting in front of you. His objective is to know about your skill, right? Is like to validate your skill. Before validating, you like to know about yourself. He doesn't know about anything about you, right? So in such case, you like to know about uh, what do you know. So then you feel like it's interviewer is a person where you like to explain to him about yourself. Okay, it's you like somebody don't know about you, then doesn't know about you, then you are going to explain about your activities and what you know. That's it. That's right. If you this things in your mind, then you can you should have prepared something about your training project or current project. When you talk about current project, right? Why you go for current project when you are experienced candidate, uh, appearing for interview? They ask for current project, right? Because you'll have more information about the project that you are currently working, right? Because they'll always 99% you can expect, they will ask you current project. In some cases, they will ask, what about your the previous project before this current project? What was your first project? Some brief information like but you should be good enough to explain the current project in detail. Okay, so when you go for current project, then you should have start from the business of you have to start from your client, right? Basically, the client is American Insurance General insurance client, and the project is you know uh, uh, surrendering the uh, claim, right? Claiming the insurance policy or surrendering the policy, right? So this is my project, and in that project, right? So we have, I mean, the project has different modules, right? So when you talk about the project, you will talk about the overview of the project, not just Salesforce part. You just give the overview of the project. I have these different types of modules in my project, right? So and Salesforce, in Salesforce, we are handling that particular part of the business, right? So Salesforce has this many types of objects, and we have different types of users. So right when you talk about the project, you must talk about the users of the project. Who is going to be the user, and who are the customers, and what is the objective of the business, right? So suppose I'm an insurance project, then what type of insurance you are selling. So that type of overview you can give, then you can get into the technical part. In that project, my role is, right? So first you will give the overview of the project, then flow, then you will explain about um, your role in the project and what you are currently doing. So that type of uh, the sequence, right? So that the interview will have a good clarity, and they will come to a conclusion like because these are the places where they evaluate your communication, and they will evaluate how do you uh, communicate in real time in the project when you talk to client, right? When you talk to a client, you should be good enough to explain about your task, and you should be able to get clarified your questions. So communication play a major role. Communication in the sense It doesn't require you to be uh, you know uh, a good in a master in Oxford University. You should be a you should able to frame a simple sentence. Uh, Objective is to convey the things, right? So in such a way, you can prepare your current project or in your experience or training project if you are a fresher. Makes sense to all of you? Able to follow? Just continuously keep talking. And respond to chat window.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right, and reason for job change, right? When you're if you're a working employee, right, you're going for other job, you're not a fresher, then you must have something to tell about why you are going for why you're going for job change, why you're changing, looking for this position, why you're changing your current company. The questions can be different, but reason for job change, right? So most of the time, this answer to be honest, right, it may not be uh, the right choice, the right answer, right? Because it's may not be the fact. That I put in other way, may not be the fact, right? Because we are most of the time we look for uh, the revenue, right? So we just go for to increase our revenue from current CTC to no higher CTC, then we'll go for job change, right? But to my personal opinion, I can say job change reason could be uh, your job nature, right? So what type of how you are satisfying with the current uh, work and how challenging you're looking for, what type of challenge you're looking for. So when there is no scope in the current job, then I go for a change. But of course, the money play a role, but may not be primary, right? Can be a secondary role, right? All together, you can make some good reasons why you're going for a job change, isn't it? So, and sometimes job change can be also based on location. Right? So I have been working this location, but my native is this, and I would like to go nearby. After some period, I couldn't get right. So some sort of reasons, right? So altogether, you can make some nice reason. Why I'm pointing these common questions? It shouldn't be the questions that you feel like it's all of a sudden you get these questions and you don't know what to tell and you blabbering something that would create some a different type of environment for you, atmosphere for you to face further question, right? So prepared yourself, these answers for this a nice response without a break, right? Without going for a pass and you think yourself what to tell. So preparing these common questions is more mandatory when you right we go for interviews. Don't focus always for the technical things. Technical things anyway are going to cover, but these common questions play a major role to create a good ambience in the room, in the interview room, right? When you talk to interviewers, and these are very common questions for the freshers. When you go for a job, I believe that a lot of fresher opportunities are appearing now, coming up now in the market. If you are trained Salesforce resource, then they go for freshers because they feel like freshers. Someone has trained already. They are passed out in say you can. They now the companies are accepting even 2 days gap. They consider as a fresher. So when they go for fresher opportunity, right? These type questions you can expect in one or other interviews. You'll expect. Why do you prefer to learn Salesforce? Then, then you have something positive, answers in mind. Uh, it can be natural. It can be very natural answer. Like may not be very. It can be very realistic answer. Like I came across this platform through my friend who's already been working. Then I explored it. I feel like it's quite interesting, so I catch up this. Right. You need not be give the answers comparing every other technology. You need not lift. Salesforce is a number one uh, uh, platform in the market. That's why I choose it. It need not be. That cannot be the realistic answer. A realistic answer, actually, what is there in mind? You can tell that, like everyone come to know about particular platform through friends or right someone. That's an actual thing, right? So that you can say like, but how do you feel about the Salesforce? That can also be added into these uh, answers to those type of questions. How do you feel about and how comfortable you are in that particular technology, right? I like this and I feel very uh, myself more comfortable in this, and I it's quite interesting. Such type of things you can also add into your uh, this type of questions, right? Then project flow. Of course, you should have explained this in tell about current project, but I put it like here because uh, sometimes there is a specific questions you'll get. Write the project flow. Right, interviewers not able to get a clear picture about your when you explain about the project. Then you'll ask you to write on the flow. It happens many interviews I also face. They ask you to write the flows in the form of flow chart. You know, so there won't be any project where you'll have only one technology in the platform in the business. Like a Salesforce alone will not handle everything, right? So there will be a uh, other uh, uh, modules will also be in the business too, uh, and each one of them will pass. Each one will transfer the data, and then you should have some should have derived some basic flow about your business project flow, right? So data come from this system and goes to this system, and the finally you're right, so delivering the product to this system, and something you have in mind in like a simple project flow. Need not be very uh, need not be very detailed project flow. Okay, fine. And this is very common questions. I can say 8 out of 10 interviews you'll get this question. Are you working in sales cloud or service cloud? Right. So sales cloud basically, you know, uh, you're selling something, okay, for new customers, right? So existing customers. It means, your focus is to get more customers. That is your sales cloud. So you'll have leads in terms of objects. You'll have leads, right? Play a major role here, and opportunity play a major role. Opportunity and account, right? So you're going to sell something, then you'll have a where you will track your sales in opportunity object, right? So when you if you are in a project, let's say some uh, banking project, for example, then we'll sell credit cards, right? And some fund, insurance, something, right? Some savings plans or fixed deposit. All these are a product we are selling. So you should be you should able to uh, come to a conclusion what type of project you are going to explain. Whether it's about selling the product, it means it comes under sales cloud. So when you say your project is a service cloud, when you you are maintaining some, you are handling the issues of the customer, right? A customer has some issues. It can be a say for example, I'm handling a airways project, okay? So the say British Airways. So British Airways, customers raise some issue on their package, no package issues, delay in packaging, missing the package, and refund the cancel the ticket. So all those things will be raised as an issue in some right in the platform, and you'll handle the issues. So what type of project is this? Is a service cloud project supporting the existing customer, right? So in that way, right, you should be able to, and you should know what type of, where this, I mean, what type of project you are working. It's a sales or service in the sense you ticket handling system, right? Okay, so be ready with the answers for, about no answers for this question, right? You should not think about, what to tell in the interview. You should have answers for these questions. And before they start your, asking, evaluate your technical knowledge, they would like to know about your self rating, right? In admin and development of Salesforce, right? So maybe the rating would be out of 5 or out of 10. You know, the highest value will be, you're more confident in the technology. The lowest will be like you're less confident. Starting from 1 to 5 or 1 of, right, and out of 10. So you'll rate yourself. Sometimes the rating will be like, in the particular topics, how good you are in Apex, right? How good you are in Trigger. So which means if you are an experienced employee, right? If you are an experienced candidate already working in Salesforce, then you can rate yourself with respect to uh, how much, I mean, how much scope you have in particular topic in your project, right? That it's not every project will have more scope for Trigger or batch effects, okay, or configurations, like a workflows process builder. So you love scope will be, some projects will provide more scope for writing the Trigger, some projects will have more scope for writing the test class. So by in that cases, you will be more confident in writing the test class compared to writing the visual force pages. So you can rate yourself accordingly. Okay, that doesn't uh, okay, you need not be good enough in every part of the platform, right? An experienced employee, you can be more realistic, right? Suppose you are less exposure to the batch effects, of course, but you should have a knowledge on batch effects. But you can say like, I haven't got any much chance to work on this. So, right, you can rate accordingly. Got me? So when you rate yourself high in particular topics, then you can expect some good start of questions in that particular topic. So that way you can increase your chance of uh, you know uh, creating a positive uh, uh, scenario, atmosphere in the interview. And for a fresher, again, the rate yourself is also play a major role, right? How as a fresher you might be, you can also rate yourself in topic wise, okay? And admin and development overall also you can rate. And your day-to-day activities, uh, day-to-day activities of as an experienced Salesforce candidate, what are the day-to-day activities, right? So sometimes you will feel like this very it's not very important significant questions, but this type of questions play a major role, to evaluate your communication. How do you brief your activities in general? You can't say like, no, I just go office and do work. You cannot, right? So most of us feel like, yeah, we go office and work, that's my day activity. Still, you can put it in bullet point and explain, right? Say for example, I am the 2 years excuse me, 3 years experienced candidate, I get this question. Then I would say, yeah, I would have my first task, uh, get all the read all the important emails and prioritize my work, right? Which one needs to be taken on priority. So I prioritize my work and I will have a quick a scrum call, a scrum meetings, huddle meetings in the project by every day 10 a.m. Excuse me, 10 a.m. where I would address my queries and get clarified my questions in the project. Then I would report all those activities in questions in a tool we have in a project uh, for to present to the client. And then I uh, check out my activities and I do my the current task in progress, right? So and we'll have every Friday we'll have a status call, or every 2 weeks, I mean 2 days once, 2 days, I mean 2 day 2 days in a week we'll have a status call. And right, and we'll have a 3 months once a implementation. So like that you can narrate your activities, right? You can't say like I just go and work, isn't it? So such way, right, so most of you will have different sort of activities in your project in real time. So you need to try to build a point, so that you can present nicely in the interviews in uh, when you when you go for when you face such type of questions all of a sudden. Okay, so you interview is not just preparing your technical things, right? So and this is also a more common questions, how do you get your work request? How do you get your work, right? You again you feel like this very simple question doesn't make much important significant, but it's more important questions. So all these questions are like, you how do you present yourself, what you've seen, what you're uh, facing, and how do you narrate and explain it. So how do you get your request? Most of the projects you get the request through some tool, right? The client posts the requirement in the tool. So what type of tool you are using? Sometimes you get the request through document. Every companies we go, a small or big companies, each one of them have some process in place, right? So it's not like someone just like that they send email and do this, right? There is some protocol, right? They copy the team and they appoint some team lead, or else if you are an individual team player, then you'll be copied or you'll be alone get the email with subjected as project one or project name something. Then how do you manage your work? So you'll have uh, a version repository document where I capture all the requests where I get, or you have objects in the Salesforce org itself. Most of the projects will, some of the projects will come to, if you come across, then you'll see like case object is the one they use to uh, get the request, right? This progress the status of the request. So like that, how do you get a request? So you should be able to explain, you know, briefly. Okay, and there are some common questions like, team size. Of course, if you are part of the team, then you can, right? You should know about the team size and the client location. Okay, and team structure. What is the hierarchy, right? You'll have each will have different hierarchies. Like different hierarchy will be like we'll have a lead and something, but we'll have different names, right? Module lead, sometimes project lead, like that. And some projects they have business analyst. It's also a part of the project. Some project will not have business analyst. So and you'll have a coordinator. Sometimes you'll directly interact with the client and end user. So such type of uh, thing, the structure, uh, you should have you should have you should have more clarity on that structure. It's not like just you just work and prepare technically and present. So you should able to narrate the things what's happening around you in terms of you know uh, uh, project management and technical things. Okay, make sense to all of you? I know each one of you is eagerly waiting for technical questions, but I'm telling you in upfront, scenario based questions we have to uh, connect for another session. I think today we'll have only time to discuss about some frequently asked questions other than scenarios. Scenarios based questions we have to connect for another session. The time is not enough. Okay, got me? Are you all okay with this? You feel like all the informations are quite important to you to know? You can respond in chat. Of course, you'll have questions at the end. Okay, we'll address your questions if you have. So, what type of questions? What is Salesforce CRM? What is Salesforce CRM? Anybody? What is Salesforce CRM? How many of here are fresher? Anybody is an experienced candidate here? Anybody is an experienced candidate here? Nobody? Then everyone is a fresher here. I mean, for Salesforce technology, isn't it? Okay. So, what is Salesforce CRM? It's a web-based CRM platform, isn't it? So, it's a CRM platform, which means you have a database and features to manage those data. That is your CRM platform, right? CRM. That is your CRM. So, CRM is a customer relationship management software, which means we have a set of tables and automation features to manage those data, right? What are the data in the database, right? So, like your workflows, process builder, validation rules. So, and it's also a platform, which means it's a development environment, right? It's a development environment where you can develop the application, customize the existing application. So, right, it's a web-based CRM platform where user can log in using user ID and password, isn't it? And it provides a development environment. Okay, the development environment is a kind of tool-based and program-based environment, isn't it? So we can to implement the workflows and process, you do not have any, need not write any program, right? And you can also develop interface using Salesforce or Lightning, and you can write the business logic using Apex, implement trigger. So you can provide it's a development environment in two ways, right? Tool based and program based, and it helps to manage the customer and prospects, the new enquiries, right? Enquiry, the customer who has shown interest to your product, people who have shown interest to your product comes under prospects, and it can be integrated with other system through API, right? There are a lot of APIs in place. So these are the definitions you should have keep in mind. I know when you right, unless you don't know what is Salesforce, it's basically it's more important to know Salesforce, right? Unless you don't know working here doesn't make much sense, right? So what are the other questions I can say? What is user license? Anybody know answer for this? What is user license? So when you go for a Salesforce project, no, license play major role in the project. license play a major role. License decides the cost of your project, how big your project is. Okay, license play a major role. What is the cost of your project? How much you are paying to Salesforce? Okay, and how big your project is. So I have 500 license, Salesforce license I have. Right? You can say if this common question, no, they would get like in interviews. What type of license you are using? You should be. You can't say like no, I never seen. But I have faced in many interviews. When I interview some candidate, they say like, I know I don't know what type of license. I never come across. They feel like that is not important, but that is where your Salesforce basically you started. Unless user license, you cannot log in, right? Without user license, you cannot log into the platform. So user license. What is user license? A set of the features that are available to the user. So license determines what type of feature a user can access. So license determines what type of feature the user can access. Right? Suppose if a person is assigned with user is assigned with Salesforce license. What does it mean? All CRM features are available to the user. Okay, we are not talking about the permission here. We are just talking about the features. If it is a charter field license is assigned, then only a charter tab and its features are available. The user cannot access any table, right? Any database. User cannot access any database here. So license decides what type of features the user have access to. Makes sense to all of you? And what is edition? The edition is a bundle of features, meeting a business objective. Okay, so what basically we have a different two types of edition in general, right? Pay edition and free edition. The free edition is the uh, developer edition. Free edition is the developer edition. So what is edition? Edition is a bundle of feature or features bundled together, okay, as a package to meet a business objective. Okay, you can say Sales Cloud is a kind of business, right? For the Sales Cloud, we have essential, isn't it? We have essential edition, uh, professional edition, enterprise, unlimited. So each of these will carry similar look and feel, but features are different, right? So features are more in the unlimited and less in essential, isn't it? So like that, edition is also, which edition you are using in real time? In real time, what type of edition you will use?
Unlimited.
Most of the business they use unlimited. Yeah. So in some rare cases you'll find uh, enterprise. Okay, but most of the cases you'll find unlimited is the edition we use. Don't say you're using developer edition. Okay, but developer edition will use in real time when you go. You'll also use developer edition for your deriving something, to work something to see how it works. Uh, like a sandbox, right? Like a test region, you'll use developer edition. Okay, developer, everyone will have a developer edition mandate. I mean, in real time to implement something before they actually to know how it works, right? So, but for a client, for a business, for commercial, right, we always use pay editions that can be unlimited in real time. Okay, and you get these questions in even you are an experienced Salesforce candidate. What are cloud computing services, right? What are cloud computing services we have? So we have infrastructure as a service. The first thing, what is the uh, cloud computing service, right? So it is any resource you connect your access using internet connection. The resource can be a infrastructure or it can be a platform. Platform means what? A development environment, right? And you can also get a software as also a service, right? Software in the sense a pre-developed application, right? You'll get uh, remotely using internet connection, right? So your Salesforce is a kind of platform as a service. They're providing you a platform. We use browser internet connection to log into the platform, right? Infrastructure is a kind of they provide you virtual machines. Okay, the vendor providing you a virtual machines like Amazon Web Service. Okay, you can connect to the virtual machines. So right, software is your pre-developed application like a sales cloud, service cloud as part of this platform, right? So this is a base layer, you can say. On top of it, we'll have platform, then we'll have develop your application, the developed application. Okay, right? So uh, knowing about this, is more important to understand about what type of platform you're working. Okay, it's not like just knowing about uh, what is object, how to create object. You should have a good clarity on the platform, what type of platform you're working, right? To which that's more important to grow yourself in particular platform technology. Okay, so when you go ladder up your role from developer to lead to architect, unless you right by not having clarity on what type of platform you're working, what type of product is Salesforce, how they store the data, right? How they manage the data. So you should have some overview of you know how the things are happening, right? Where we are working, what type of product we are working. It's more important to grow yourself, to expand your boundary. Knowing about this is more important. Okay, right? What is Sales Cloud? Very common questions. What type of questions? Sales Cloud. Okay, Sales Cloud is a pre-developed application, isn't it? It's a software as a service, right? It's a application developed in the provided by Salesforce, so which you you can uh, you just and migrate your data into the Sales Cloud objects, right? Like objects in Sales Cloud can be lead, campaign, account, contact, opportunities, product, quote, play a major role. So Sales Cloud. Okay, let me give some. Sorry. A developed application, okay, which has standard objects, features to manage the. Okay, just my own words I'm trying to explain. So all you have to explain is the Sales Cloud is a pre-developed application to store the data and manage the sales activity. That's it. Okay, so it's an application developed in the Salesforce Lightning platform to store the data and manage the data. So features to manage the sales activities. In short, I would say, right? So it's customer and prospects data. Okay, so it helps to sell the product, isn't it? And get new customers, isn't it? And it has a lot of process automation. It provides a lot of process automation features. Something. Okay, so in terms of objects, right? You sometimes you'll get a questions from your answer, right? When you say this, then you'll have questions like what are the standard objects we have, and what are the automation features we have, how it helps the uh, to sell your product, right? Then you should have some clarity on like purpose of the object, right? And when you say sales, your lead and account, okay, lead, account, opportunity play a major role. I can say opportunity play a major role. Opportunities play a major role in the sales. Okay, that is where you track your sales. Okay, right? I believe next question is sales cloud. Yeah, service cloud. The service cloud is basically okay, it's again it's a developed application, or you can say it's the standard application, right? It's also applicable here also. It's a standard application. With the standard objects, features, manage to support existing customers, right? When you say support existing customers, it means you uh, handle the issues of the customers and you satisfy the existing customers so that you get new customers, right? So okay, right. So I hope you can able to elaborate this. And what are the products available, right? It's not like just a sales cloud, service cloud is the product. We'll have different products in Salesforce. How do you come to our website? You'll find it in the at any time you can visit the Salesforce site and you'll get to know what are the products we have in the Salesforce, in general. So knowing about what is a product, it's always important. So we have sales, service, marketing, commerce, engagement, platform. Okay, it's not important to know everything, but there are some quite common product you should have some clarity, like a marketing cloud, a product specific, product to deal with marketing activities, how to integrate with other marketing tool, a social uh, uh, forums, so that you will track the particular customers behavior to get more customers. So all those things are involved. Okay, you need not be very good in marketing the product details, but overview, right? What is Commerce Cloud? Basically meant for handling the uh, e-com activities, right? Selling the product, okay, creating the catalog, pricing, like a e-commerce website. Okay, so and you'll have a platform which will basically a platform with the features. You will not find any developed application. It's a platform to develop the application and analytics and industries, communities. So, right, financial services, healthcare and life sciences, specific product. So these are some of the product you should know. You can't say like just sales and service cloud alone, right? You should have some right commerce cloud, analytics cloud, communities. Everything is a cloud product, right? No cloud, no product is an on-premise model. Everything is a on-demand cloud product. Okay, so analytical cloud is Einstein. Right, right. Coming to your lightning, right? What is Aura component? You need not be a, you may not be looking for a, I mean, you're not appearing for the lightning developer role, but still, you should know what is Aura component. Okay, so you can see some book definition also. You're looking for very, predefined uh, definitions about what is Aura component. You can also look for the trailhead or any source in the internet to know about what is Aura component. Aura component is basically an open source framework, okay, of Salesforce, right? When it's right, it's not a out of, I mean, very native uh, thing. Like it's basically it's subject to development. Aura component is a native, I mean, it's a open source framework of Salesforce. So where you'll find predefined components, standard components, like your Visualforce library. You'll find um, you'll find a predefined components like apex colon command button, apex colon page block. The Aura components is just looking for a book definition. Okay, so it is your Aura components is an open source framework, and okay, we are not talking about Aura framework here. Aura component, right? Aura component is a functional unit of your lightning, a lightning component, right? When you Aura component means how will you start? Aura colon component, right? So this is a functional unit, which means you can implement the component in terms of tab. You can implement in component in every lightning pages. Uh, with when the particular interface is included, then you can implement Aura components directly in the lightning component. Aura application is different. Aura application is basically is which is used to preview the component. So Aura component is a functional unit of Aura. Okay, so you can have this definition. start page, home page, or home page and application page, right? So it's a functional unit, but Aura application is basically uh, is the one used to preview the Aura component. So function unit is basically Aura component. Okay, so in that sense, I given the answer. If it is Aura framework, then the answer should be different. We talk about, right? We need to explain about the framework. Okay, so you able to follow? What is flows? Anybody? What is flows? Why are you using flows? You know what is flows? You heard about flows? Used to build screen elements, right? It is used to standardize the process. Okay, something which is not standardized, then using process flows, we can standardize that process. Like get the input, insert the record into the database, and search a record. Then based on the result, you can redirect the flow to the some other screen element. Then again you get the input. Like that, you can standardize the process. Something which is not standardized, then flow is basically used to help you to build the screen elements like a wizard. One wizard to another wizard, you can travel by click on next. Then you can, as part of this process flows, you can also implement process automation. Like you can create a record, you can send email. All the process automations that you can do it in process builder, you can also do it in flows. It's also called visual flows. People able to follow this? Are you clear with this? Right. What are the trigger context variables? What are the trigger context variables? How do you explain what are the trigger context variables? Used to get the data during runtime, right? So used to get the data during runtime. So it helps to get the record details. Record. Firing the trigger. So how do you get the data which based on which the trigger is fired? Right? When I insert a row, when I insert a data into the account object, I would like to know what type of uh, what industry, what is the industry that account belongs to. The user trying to insert. Then how do you get to know that data? Then we go for trigger context, and it helps to know the context also, right? It helps to know the context of the trigger. It means whether trigger is a before trigger or after trigger. Okay, whether before trigger is a is delete trigger, because of deletion DML is triggered, or because of insert operation. You'll come to know the context of the trigger also. It helps to get the record details that are firing the trigger. So how to get the record details? Example like trigger dot new, right? Trigger dot old. So using which you can get the details of the record that's firing the trigger. Basically, it's a system context variable, right? And what is RF framework is the one I already discussed. Is RF framework is the open source framework, which provides a lot of standard RF components which can be used to build your lightning components. Lightning applications, right, or pages, whatever. And most of the components, standard components, can be used to build the lightning applications. Okay, not every component. RF framework provides a lot of components, but most of the components you can use it to build the lightning application, right? Okay, right? Will to follow? Right, and we have wide type of questions, right? I think we are connecting for a long time, so we can wind up as of now. We'll continue next Saturday. So next Saturday I have, right? I believe I will. I can able to. 1 minute. Let me just give a quick walkthrough. Yep. Yeah. So we'll able to see quickly about why type of question, differences, and syntax in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, we'll speed up next Saturday and we'll see scenario based questions. Okay, if you could wait for 1 more week, then we can detail discuss about why and explain syntax. Then next week we'll have scenario based or challenging. But how we are able to proceed, uh, and how faster we can able to cover these topics, then time permits, we'll see scenario based and challenging in the next week itself. So we are going to connect next week Saturday, 7:30 a.m. IST. Right. You have any questions in mind? You can, before I wind up, you can ask your questions. How many of you very new to this session who are not my students earlier? Can anyone send a message? They're very new, just seeing my LinkedIn post. And
Hello, my name is Dinesh Ranjit.
Dinesh, right?
I have a question.
Yes.
Like as an initial stage, how much time it has taken for you to get mingled with the process when you are as a fresher?
As a fresher, when you go for any deployed in any project, uh, there is no standard duration for this. Okay, it depends upon the project size, depends upon the process what they follow. Okay, if you go for a MNC, say for example, I go for a big MNC, you can put mute, I'll explain. So I can go for MNC, for example, Cognizant, say they have the process in place. If I go for TCS, they have process in place, so they give ample amount of time to
Okay.
make yourself familiar with the atmosphere, and you'll
Yeah.
get project documents to go through, and you'll have a time to interact your mentors to get clarified your question. So you get time, and when you assign with some work, then you will able to relate you connect your dots. Whatever you learned, whatever you have seen across in your document, you're able to connect those dots when you work in real time. when you go for a
Okay.
medium-sized company, a simple, small companies, you will not have any time to learn the project. You'll just get into the work, and then through work, you'll put effort to explore about the project modules and get clarified parallel. So this, this that's why these things are, vary from project to project, company to company. So all you have to do is you should have questions always in mind. Why we are using these? What is this? To connect your dots. Then you will, down the line, you will get come to a conclusion. Okay, this is a project. This is what I'm working, and this is what the client is expecting.
Okay. Thanks, Rani.
Okay. Okay. So Niharika, I think you are joined newly, right? The admin batch.
Yes, sir. From 2 days onwards
Okay.
only I'm
Do you think this
taking.
session is? Yeah, yeah. Do you think this session is useful to you?
Yes, sir. I'm new to it. I don't know. Just I'm learning the basics.
Right. Okay. Right. All of you, like, if you, right, we just will connect again on next Saturday 7:30 to continue these things. Okay. Other days I cannot connect because I do have regular other sessions. But these are free sessions. Just like to deliver it. Uh, I feel like this could be more useful to uh, you know kind of people who are looking for a job or Salesforce, and who have more questions in mind about the interviews. That's the reason I came up with this idea. We'll connect on next Saturday, 7:30 a.m. IST. So see you all next Saturday. Thanks.